All right, welcome to Studio B, where I actually look like a YouTuber. I don't even like that. That's just hilarious. We're talking about protecting ourselves. You need to have fun. That's lesson number one. Let's go. All right, while I've got the opportunity, I've actually got a personal page just called Z Life. And if you want to learn how to make this kind of stuff, after this, I'm literally going to be going and doing a video there. As I said just before, this is about protecting yourself. So in a relationship, sometimes things are not going to go the best, whether that's with family, with friends, with people at work, with an actual partner, whoever it is. This is how you protect yourself in a relationship while being vulnerable, while being strong, and while being the best that you can be. I don't know why I've got a pen. Let's go. First thing you want to do is you want to be aware. No matter what it is, you want to always be learning, whether that's at work, at school, at wherever, at uni, whatever you're up to. Literally, be learning all the time. When it comes to our relationships, be learning the other person in the relationship. That's going to teach you everything and more than you need to know about yourself. That's going to improve you every single day, every single time. When you're learning, first thing you want to do when learning another person is start to observe. You want to be watching them, not like a creep, not too closely. You want to be watching them and just taking little notes. The things that just pop up over and over, they're going to start to rise to the surface no matter what. If you start to remember those things, even if you've got to write them down somewhere that they won't, who cares? Be honest, let them find it. If you need to keep a note in your phone with some of these things that keep popping up, once you recognize it 3, 4, 5 times, remember those things. As you observe, start to look for those patterns. Start to see where some of these things that keep recurring add up and play in together. You'll start to realize exactly what it is that's really going on the more that you observe and the more that you're just kind to people while you're observing. That's the real trick here. You don't want to start getting negative. You want to let this be a way for you to serve the other person. You want this to be a way that you can show your love and your affection more for these other people. If you're starting to notice a place where somebody's in trouble, where someone seems to always fall down, where somebody gets hurt, you can be there. You've got no excuse. Now that you've seen it, you need to be there for them. In these beginning stages, or where we're first trying to figure out if we need to protect ourselves in a relationship, observing and trying to give them what you think they need, or even our next point, start asking them questions. See whether what you've observed, and even do experiments with trying to serve them there. Ask the questions. Find out exactly what it is, or what they're going to tell you is going on. A lot of times people are going to hold this stuff back, especially if they're trying to manipulate you, which is why we're trying to protect ourselves. If we're asking them what's going on, if we're starting to point these things out in a nice, kind, and loving way to try and help them as best we can, you're going to work this out. You're going to become more aware. Observe, ask them the questions, and after that, take caution. Do this slowly over time. Like I said, notice these things 3, 4, 5, 50 times. Don't just confront people when you come up with these questions. Do it slowly, do it kindly. This is to help them. This is to make your relationship better while serving them. You guys are in this relationship together, whether it's at work, with your child, at home, it's wherever it is. These things are for both people. It's not just for us, it's not just for them. It's a balance. If we're the one observing it and they're not observing, we're the one that can pull them up. If we're just going to sit there and use these things to bang them down, we're just going to end up both off the frame. Whoa, look at that. We're both going to end up off the frame. We're both going to get lost in this thing. You can't do that. Take your time, ask the questions, observe, watch what's going on. That's how you be aware and beware. I like that. Be honest. That's our next thing. If you're not honest, if you're not upfront, you've got no right to sook and complain about anything anybody else does. Take it like this, actually. As soon as you realize that you're not telling the truth, as soon as you realize that you're twisting, manipulating, leaving something just off the table, do whatever you can to stop yourself. The quicker you do that and the more often you do that, the easier it'll get with time and the better you will end up. Be honest, be upfront, no matter what. You've got to be honest first. You can't expect honesty unless you're giving it. Practice that first. While you're observing, while you're taking your time, begin to actually open up. It's going to be vulnerable. It can hurt, but do it. Keep giving. Again, if we're both not giving and pulling each other along in this relationship, there is no point doing it. Sometimes this car's going to be pulling the other one. Sometimes this one's going to be pulling this one out of a ditch. You need to be working together. If you're not going to be honest, if you're not going to be open, how are you ever going to work together? Because not only are you not going to be on the same page, you're going to be in completely different libraries, not even in the same book at all anymore, not even in the same collection. You're going to be so far off the planet from each other. How hard is it going to be for you to reconnect? You can't just throw a line out there. It's going to go nowhere. Listen, ask them. Listen to what they're doing, listen to what they're saying, and ask them the questions. When things don't add up, ask them. It's going to hurt. You're going to find out things that you didn't want to know. Some of your biggest fears are going to actually be true, and some of the things that you haven't even thought about that you didn't realize are a pain and a hurt for you are going to come up. But again, the more that we do this over time, the more that we just get better, the more that we grow. It might hurt now. I've got a saying, and I'm going to keep hammering this one home in all of my channels on everything I do. Hard now or harder later. That is your choice. If you don't want it to be harder later, then make it harder now. If you want an easy time now, then you can take it to the bank and the grave that later in the future, it is going to be so much more difficult for you. You're going to wake up, there's going to be no one around you, you're going to have nothing left, you're going to feel like a hollow shell when you could have been going through a tiny little bit of pain just before. Take the choice. There's always an option, there's always a choice in life. Whether it's good or bad or negative, whatever. I don't even care here. You can be trying to lie and cheat and steal. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is making it easier now, and you are going to pay for that later. You're going to pay for it in your own mind, and you are going to pay for it in your own life. Not even about karma. You are not going to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, you are going to exude that to everybody else around you. People are going to smell it. They're going to see it. You won't line up. No one will trust you. I've seen children, animals. I was just going to say, let's go with that. I've seen children and dogs literally not trust people for this stuff. Cats are weird and go a bit skittish, but literally, animals know this. Young children know this. We all somewhere know this. The more that we're tuned in, the more that we're being aware, the more that we're going to be tuned in where other people are doing this. Again, speak up. It's utter disrespect if you're not speaking up. You can keep whatever you want in your head. You can have whatever assumption. You can think whatever you want. But until you say it, it doesn't mean a thing. You got to be brave. It takes guts to do these things. It takes guts to speak up. Sometimes your worst fear, usually your worst fear is an absolute nothing. The thing that you don't want to tell somebody else, it can be like absolute water off a duck's back. It can be like a wave that rides them into the shore. It can be the best thing that you've ever said to them. It is shocking and weird how often we are so scared about something, but it totally makes sense because these other people, anybody else in your life, almost anyone else in your life has a completely different frame to you. That's funny. Anybody else in your, I'll tell you about that one other time. Literally, anybody else in your life, most of the other people in your life are going to have a completely different frame, a completely different reference to you. We're over here with our, look at this, we're over here with our ideas, they're over here with their ideas. The things that we're scared about might fit perfectly into the glove that's them. The things that they think are going to completely crush you and ruin you and pull you apart, they're going to cover you and coat you. We don't know what the other person's thinking. If we make the assumption that we know what's going on, whether we've watched them for ages, whether we've got the probability, until we say it, we don't know. We could be helping them, we could be setting them free, it could be absolutely nothing or a massive hiccup and a road bump, speed bump. Whatever it is, bump in the road, whatever it is, say it, just trust the other person, trust yourself and see what happens. If this is a relationship, if this is community, if this is an actual group in any way, shape or form, it will work itself out. There is nothing that can go too wrong that you can't fix it if you're happy to humble yourself. They're your options, hard now or harder later. How do you want it? That sounds sus. How do you want it though? Again, be vulnerable. I briefly touched on it before, but all of these points really, it's about being vulnerable. You need to be big enough, you need to be strong enough to be vulnerable. You can say that talking and whatever is all just girl stuff, chick stuff, blah, blah, whatever, man. I don't care. If you can't be upfront, if you can't really say what's truly deep down, if you're not willing to share those things that hurt, those things that make you cringe, coil up to strike or coil up to run away. Those things that you want to run away from, they're the things that are going to make you stronger. They're the things that are vulnerability. Share them. Let it out. It's going to get so much better and easier, and you are going to actually end up strong. It is weak sauce to keep this stuff alone. You are going to end up alone if you keep this stuff to yourself. Take your picks. You need to say exactly what's going on with people. If you can't respect them, then you don't deserve respect, so shut up and quit whining. That's simple. Be vulnerable. It's being tough and strong. Be realistic. with all of this stuff. If you start to see negative patterns, if you start to see a massive issue, be real. I just talked about probability a little bit. Weigh up what the chances are that this stuff's going to keep happening. Weigh up what the chances are that this person is worse and better than you think. Figure out a way to balance this stuff out, to figure this stuff out. You need to be real with yourself. We are so good at trying to keep everything easy now. And what happens? It makes it harder later. Hard now or harder later. That easy. Go to the ER. Boom. If you don't do it now, it's going to be much worse later. If you get a broken arm right now and you let it reset itself, you're going to need to get it broken again. It's going to hurt a lot more when it gets re-broken because it's healed stronger, but in the wrong position. In other countries where they don't have healthcare, or in countries where you do pay for your own healthcare and you choose not to go and get this stuff done, if you let like a broken arm set, especially when you're young, it's going to start to wither. It's going to end up being just a nothing there. It's going to be stuck. You need to go into the pain. Going into the pain also shortens the pain. I've talked in another video. What side am I on? Hopefully it pops up here. I think that's the side. I could be wrong. There's going to be a video popping up now where I started talking about buffaloes. This is what happens. Cows, buffaloes. If you're a cow, the storm starts to roll in. You see the storm running. You're like, uh-oh, I'm out of here. You bail. What happens when the storm catches up? You start to get tired and you slow down. Next minute, you're moving with the storm. If you move with the storm, you're in the storm a lot longer. If you're a buffalo, though, you see that thing come up over the crest. The buffalo looks up at that thing and goes, oh, there's a storm coming. They get just as scared as the cow. Exactly the same situation, exactly the same inside feelings. What the buffalo will do is they'll start to run towards the storm. Storm starts coming. They're in the storm now. Now the storm's gone. Suddenly this buffalo that's gone head on into the problem are sitting there in the promised land with all the water, with all the rain, with all the fresh grass, with whatever else pops up. Do you want to run in the storm for a long time, get worn out, get beat by the storm? Hopefully it doesn't turn into a massive hurricane or something. Or do you want to run through it while it's an infant, while it's smaller, before it builds up? And then you get all the rewards. You get them faster. You're in there for shorter. It's a no-brainer. Hard now. Forget harder later. Stay out of the hospital. Figure it out yourself. Do it. Just rush into everything. Headlong. Truth. Being strong. It's weak to not be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is just you trying to protect your pride, your ego, and your garbage. If you're trying to do that, how are you ever going to get strong? You are not going to be real with yourself. You are not going to trust yourself. No one is going to trust you. That simple. How long is it going to take? I don't know. How long's a piece of string? I'm full of cliches. We could do this all day. Next point, be ready. No matter what, always be ready. Be ready for everything. Be ready for the best and be ready for the worst. Put your brain and your heart and your body and your everything, your finances, your every single little bit that you've got. Put it all into everything. Make it as hard as it can be now. You'll get stronger and have so much more later. No matter how much you lose, it will come back. It's not just about finance. It's not just about money. There is so many bigger and better things that you can learn, that you can do, and that you can grow. Sacrifice everything. The more that you want to hold on to it, the more you need to learn to give it away. If you're hoping for the best and doing that, you're ready for anything. Be smart, be realistic, but hope for the best. Act like the best is coming until you know for a fact and have said everything that you've thought. Then you can start to take care of yourself. Then you can then you can do things to set yourself up to protect yourself. You need to be protecting yourself by being vulnerable and open and honest first. Otherwise, you don't deserve to mess somebody else over and to manipulate somebody else and to lie to somebody else and to steal from somebody else. Do your best. Throw everything into everything you do. Otherwise, what on earth are you doing and why are you doing it? Hard now, harder later. That's the theme. Full stop. Trust, but trust with caution. Throw it all there, but be watching. You've started watching before you threw everything in, hopefully, because otherwise you're just running into everything and you're running away from something else. Figure yourself out. Put your trust in completely with caution. Protect it. Make sure that if things keep happening a certain way, that you're still picking that up. Don't get blind. Don't get wrapped up in people's drama. Don't get wrapped up in your own drama, and don't let people take control or manipulate you. It's not about being dominant. This is about being submissive, meek, and mild, while knowing that you've got that inner strength. If you can hold yourself back, if you can literally control every bit of strength and rage that you've got, if you can wrap every bit of wrath in a curtain of love, you can sit through almost anything. True meekness is having the strength to do damage, but choosing not to. What good is being soft and gentle and meek and mild if you can't just tear people apart? This is why people that actually have their heads screwed on straight, there's other issues with it, but people that have their heads screwed on straight, that go and start training, the longer you've been training, the more you've been in a band and done your dues, the more that whatever realm it is, that you've paid actual sacrifice, blood, sweat, literal tears. If you haven't gone through the rough, if you haven't sat in the dirt and clawed your way out, you have not paid your dues and you don't understand. As soon as you understand, there's something different that changes in you. I'm back to the gym. When you start to fight, if you actually do this over time, you realize that you can have a bad day, you can have a good day. You can get one over somebody when they're having a bad day and you're having a good day that you would never have a chance with. This seems to just kind of temper and taper people down just that little bit. You start to learn to reserve things. I remember hearing, I think it was the 80-20 rule that firefighters have. If you've got 100% of your effort and you're putting in 100% effort every time, what happens when you've got an emergency? You've got nothing left. There's no such thing in this realm as 110%. You've got 100, that's it. This is why you give 80% every time. Now suddenly you've got this extra 20%. If you're practicing everything with your 80, as soon as you need to turn it up to that 100, boom, you've got that extra level. You've got a fifth left. You need to be holding back things, not truth, not words. You need to be holding back some of your strength, some of your wrath, some of your rage, some of those things that are more go and get it. You need to learn discipline with food, with finances, with everything, with your time. You need to hold these things back. You need to start to guard just a small percentage of what you're giving out, what you've got, so that you can give out everything you need to. And when it comes to push time, when it comes to crunch, you're not left flat and with nothing. You can just go and be the wonder of everyone else as you go. We need a pillar. We need strength. We all have down times. We all then have a responsibility to be strong for the people that are down. We all need more grace. I'm the worst as soon as I get behind the wheel. I am such a jerk when I'm driving. If people are a kilometer, as far as I'm concerned, under the speed limit, I can turn into the most disgusting person at the drop of a hat. It is so messed up because in so many other ways, I'll laugh and giggle. And even worse, I've been an absolute hypocrite and judge people hard by doing this to other people in other countries. Let's go with that. I'll tell some of these Africa stories another time. Where are we? Be ready. Take your L's. Same deal. Take the losses. Whether they're personal, whether they're corporate, whether you're getting blamed for something that you didn't do, take the loss. Even better, Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. Find the way to figure out how you did everything in every circumstance. If you can start to think like that, you make your own life hard now, which will make everything else so much easier later for everybody. If you don't, and if you start blaming and projecting, not only are you going to lose all the people around you because no one's going to hang around that stuff over time, but you will also take your own massive L's because you'll be so cautious. You won't want to do anything wrong. I literally was just on a call right before, I'm still in the same chair. Right before sitting here recording this video, I was on a call hearing somebody frozen by their perfectionism. I know so many times that I've done that. I've played drums about this long. I remember one time sitting on a drum kit completely choking because I didn't want to do the wrong thing. So instead, for the whole time that I was on stage, I didn't hit a single thing on purpose and literally looked worse than if I would have tried and failed a little bit because you can hide your mistakes. Once you've got that momentum, it's fine. Take your losses, move on, grow, and turn it into a W. 2 L's, spin one around, you've got a W. Boom. Well, let's go with this. Boom, boom, boom. Break it up. Take your L's. You will win. Be ready, be kind, and rewind. No matter what's going on, flash back to those things at the beginning. Make sure that when you're being aware that you remember these things. As you beware when things start to get nasty, be honest, be upfront, tell everyone what's going on. From there, be realistic. Be realistic with yourself. Be honest with yourself once you're honest with other people. Other people first, then you. Be aware, be honest, be realistic, because then you're ready. That's all I've got. That's landing this ship. You've got this. Whatever it is. I don't care how hard, how impossible the situation seems. This seems absolutely ridiculous, but hey, I've got an almost empty house. This studio I just set up today. There's a video popping up right now that's showing you me setting this thing up as soon as I've recorded it. This video might go live for a tiny bit before that pops up, but look at this. Literally took me one day. Well, other than the fact that I literally just planned out this video just then. That's how this goes. This is natural. This is real. Actually, you know what? Here, first look at the studio. Look at this. This is insane. Stuff everywhere. You know what's better? I don't even know if the neighbors can even get in here and make any sound because I've got mats here and it's legit daylight out there somewhere. You can't even tell. This is insane. But here's the point. Echoey house because there's not much in it. Look at those lights. But you know what? I just got a comfy leather couch out of absolutely nowhere because I was humble enough to go looking for this kind of stuff. I've got everything I need getting itself sorted. Wait till you see the video of me setting up that room because all of this right here is going to look completely different, especially this wall and the rest of the stuff in here. Go through the hard times, take the L's, turn them into the W's. You really have this. You've got this. Quit wasting your time watching me or watch a bunch more videos, take your pick. Then go do it. You got this.